Shalom. Welcome to Tov Jewish News Channel. And with us today is Yoni ben Menachem. But before that, let's watch a small teaser from our new series on Hamas. Hamas in your backyard.
The crusades of the thousands of years ago are depicted as a Western invasion of the Middle East in order to destroy Islam. The same thing is Israel. Both Christianity and Judaism conspired in order to defeat Islam by creating something like resurrection. And this is what boggles the mind.
The series is already available, Chapter 1, Episode 1, on our various channels. Shalom to Yoni ben Menachem, an expert in Middle East affairs. Welcome back.
How are you? Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Ceasefire was supposed to be 4 days. It reminds me a little bit of Abu Mazen's term in office. He's like in the 20th year of his fourth-year term. So we're in the sixth day of the four-day ceasefire. And I don't remember the government even announcing that the ceasefire was actually going to be extended officially. So what's happening?
Right. Well, you have to understand that there was a decision of the government for a halt or a pause in the war, what we call in Hebrew a fuga, but actually it's a ceasefire. And this was the decision was for 4 days with the possibility of extending this halt or pause up to 10 days. This is the government decision. So after 10 days, in any case, it has to be brought again to the government to be considered again. But what is interesting is that Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, he visited the soldiers in Gaza Strip, the soldiers who were fighting a few days ago, and he told them very clearly, and it was also on camera, and it was also quoted in the Israeli media, that after the 4 days, the initial halt, the initial pause, after the 4 day, any negotiations with Hamas will be under fire. And surprisingly, nothing is happening. The negotiations continue. The 4 days are passed now. Today we are in the 6th day while we are recording this interview, and there's no fire. And this is a very bad spot for Israel. I think that the whole concept of negotiating with Hamas was a mistake from the beginning. Not that I'm against of releasing the abductees, the Israeli abductees, on the contrary, but from the first minute, Israel should have made it clear to Hamas and to the United States and all the mediators that were involved, like Qatar and Egypt, that Israel is willing to negotiate only under fire. This was supposed to be the Israeli policy, and not to stop the fire and wait for the answers of Hamas and let them gain time while our soldiers on the ground inside Gaza, there are thousands of Israeli soldiers, and they're sitting like ducks in the firing range. Yes, and they are being attacked yesterday, and I think also this morning, they were attacked by the Hamas terrorists. So they cannot respond, they cannot do anything about that. So this is a very dangerous situation for the IDF and for Israel.
So why did Israel agree to those conditions for the negotiations? I mean, we had all the power. We are the ones, actually it was Hamas who were begging for the pause, right? We didn't want the pause. They wanted the pause.
Yes,
of course, we all want, everybody wants and hopes and prays to see all the hostages back here as soon as possible. But we can't forget what the main purpose of this war is. The purpose of this war is to eliminate Hamas. And here we are giving Hamas breathing space. We're giving them room to regroup and time to regroup their troops and to reorganize and to study what we have done so far and respond. That seems like a huge mistake.
It is a huge mistake, and this is the one who responsible is the political echelon. They are the one who are making.
The war
The
cabinet.
war cabinet, of course, they are the one who are making the mistakes, and they make the decisions, and then they bring it to the expanded cabinet, and then it comes to the government. And there were some objections of ministers like Ben Gvir and Smotrich, and they exerted a lot of pressure on Smotrich to accept this idea, and finally he gave in. I think it was a mistake from his part, and I hope he will correct it in the future. In any case, what Hamas is doing is they actually succeeded in stopping the momentum of the war.
Exactly.
They succeeded in stopping the momentum of the war, and they are using the anger or the split society in Israel over the question of the and the criticism, old criticism against Netanyahu, and also the pressure of the families of the Israelis who were the families of the Israelis who were abducted by Hamas to Gaza. All of this that Hamas is using it in order to blackmail the Israeli government, and the Israeli government is being blackmailed by Hamas. You have to say the truth. So this has to be stopped immediately. And tomorrow, Secretary of State Blinken is coming to Israel to put more pressure on the Israeli government, maybe to stop the war and consider a long truce, and then negotiate with Hamas. The Americans already put restrictions on Israel in case the Israeli war cabinet will decide to go ahead with the battle in Gaza and occupy also the center and the south of Gaza Strip. So they already announced restrictions on Israel before even Israel decided to go to continue the war. The restrictions like to be very careful from hurting any Palestinian population in those areas, and not to expel any Palestinians from the fighting zones and things like that. So Israel is actually yielding to all these pressures from Hamas and from the United States.
So this is really very, very concerning. I mean, it's obviously understandable why we need to maintain very good relations with the US. I mean, the ammunition that we're using from our planes comes from the US, and they have been supplying us with the ammunition very, very steadily and regularly. And if we upset them, they might not. So that's understandable. But we can't take orders from the American government. I mean, Biden understood, it seemed that he understood from the beginning the importance of eliminating Hamas completely. That's how it seemed. But if we go halfway, we haven't really done anything, and people have died for nothing.
You're absolutely right. And I think Biden showed a big friendship with Israel, and he really helped Israel this time. And everything is very good, and Israel should not fight with the United States. But there is what is called a red line. And I think that our leadership is weak because there are some red lines that cannot be crossed, even by the Americans, who are our greatest friends. There is a red line, and I think Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, should have said to President Biden, look, this is the red line, and I'm not stopping the war. I'm willing to negotiate with Hamas. I'm willing to go according to your advices, but the fire must go on. And there has to be a constant pressure on Hamas all the time, that they will know that we mean business, and we are not going to accept any games like they're trying to do now. This was supposed to be a red line, and I'm sorry that it didn't happen.
Thank you very much, Yoni ben Menachem. And
Thank you.
I think that everybody watching agrees with you. And let's just hope that somebody upstairs is also listening and understands that point too. And thank you to our viewers. I'd like to remind everyone to subscribe and like all our channels, Telegram, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and so on. Shalom.
The Crusades of the 1,000 years ago are depicted as a Western invasion of the Middle East in order to destroy Islam. The same thing is Israel. Both Christianity and Judaism conspired in order to defeat Islam by creating something like resurrection. And this is what boggles the mind.